Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Monroe and I'll be hosting your webinar today. We're just going to wait another moment to allow other attendees to join. So if you just give us about a minute, grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself comfortable, and we'll be ready to start in about a minute. So welcome to this Onfido webinar about our new innovation and product called Motion. We're very excited to be sharing the details with you today. If you just one more minute and we're ready to get started, but welcome aboard. We're very excited that you're with us today. Okay, great. I think we're ready to get started. Once again, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on this webinar about Onfido's latest offering, Motion, the next generation of facial biometrics. We're very excited about this new product and we're eager to share it with all of you. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Sarah Monroe. I'm a senior product director here at Onfido for biometrics. And I'm responsible for the development and management of all our biometrics portfolio here at Onfido. And I'm really excited to be sitting here with you today. So what are we going to be talking about? In our webinar, we're going to be discussing emerging trends and challenges for consumers and businesses. We'll then discuss Motion, our new biometric advancement as part of the Real Identity Platform, and how it addresses these challenges. I will then give you a demonstration of Motion, and so you can see it in action. And then I'll show you how one of our customers is using it today with great success. And then we'll close with some different differentiators and a Q&A. You'll see as part of this platform, there's a chat box on the side. If you have any questions at all about Motion and how it's out of identity verification platform or anything else you want to talk about today, please add that to our platform and we would love to answer your questions. So, onto the show. The world has been shifting, as you know, to digital for some time, and this, of course, accelerated during the COVID-19 pandemic. It showed us that without bricks and mortar, the world kept turning, and some businesses fully pivoted to offering their services 100% online. Today, digital by default hasn't gone away. In fact, consumers now expect access to digital services like a rite of passage, whether it's banking or renting a moped. And in an anonymous digital space, offering exceptional customer service means quickly identifying and welcoming good customers whilst making it near impossible for fraudsters to infiltrate. In an offline world, impressions count. So getting that balance between friction and security is the key for driving conversion and reducing drop-off. And here at Onfido, we do extensive consumer usability testing and research, and we know that when consumers access service online, they have three considerations. They care about user experience. Now, the bar was set by all the big online players, the likes of Amazon and Netflix and Uber. And actually, biometrics are being used more and more as a fast way to unlock an iPhone, for example. And consumer perception is shifting. 8 in 10 consumers find biometrics as a convenient way to access services, with 50% of those interviewed really revealed their use of biometrics had increased over the last year. And it will come as no surprise that security online continues to be a huge concern. 83% of users said that security is the most important factor in their online experience. So making sure that convenience is balanced with the right level of protection is really key. And customers in the offline world want to be treated fairly online, and that's regardless of age, gender, or ethnicity. 67% of users worry that AI will discriminate against them, and that's quite a telling number. And in tapping into the digital opportunity, businesses are grappling with their own challenges. Businesses face increasing competition, so the pressure is on to reduce drop-off. As many as 45% of users will abandon a sign-up if the process doesn't meet their expectations. We're considering biometrics, specifically if they're not guided through the process or given feedback. And security in itself is a challenge, with fraud not only increasing 44% year on year, but also with the level of sophistication, with emerging spoofs like display attacks, 2D and 3D masks in an attempt to bypass biometric checks. And just like consumers, bias is a major concern. In a recent report with business leaders, over 54% had deep concerns about the impact of bias. So, onto the demo. So taking into account all these challenges into consideration was really why Motion was born, to offer a seamless, secure and inclusive way to verify a consumer's identity in seconds. Now just let me set this up. So what I'm going to show you is how the Motion product works. What would happen normally is you would use the Motion product as part of a standard identity verification check, and that would include potentially a check that includes one of a database check, and definitely one of our document checks. So when I mean a document check, I mean that we verify that a document like a driver's license or a passport is genuine. And then what we do is we do a facial biometrics check. And in this case, what we use the Motion product. And when we're using a biometric check, what we're looking to do is we're looking to prove two things. The first thing we're looking to do is we're looking to prove there's a genuine person behind the camera. It's often called anti-spoofing or liveness. And the second thing we're doing is we are matching the person behind the camera to their document. So we're doing face matching, and they're the two core elements of biometrics. So those two things are done when we do a biometric check. What you're going to do when I just flick to my app is you'll see my face in the screen, which I'll do now. Go. You should be able to see my face on the screen, and you also see that I'm being given instructions. In this case, move closer. And as I turn my head, you'll see a green line, and that's giving me instruction that part done. And here, and also a green line. Very simple, seamless user experience. Oh, excuse me. So as you can see, that check was very fast and very seamless. And so what will happen then for the customer, the consumer, is that check is now done. And for our customer, we will then return the results either to a dashboard that they can have or via an API. And we return the results. There's either two outcomes for the result. The result is either clear. So I've matched my document and I've proven liveness, so be clear, or I get to consider I haven't matched my document or I haven't proven liveness. If the result is a consider, we will give a breakdown about why that consider might be the case. So that will be available, as I said, via an API with a breakdown of results, or in our dashboard with also a breakdown of the results. So you've seen the demonstration, and let me tell you a bit more about Motion and where it sits within our portfolio of products, and a bit more of a breakdown of how the product works. Motion sits within the Onfido Real Identity Platform, which was launched in May of this year. Here it is as part of the biometric suite of products. And Motion can be used in combination with our award-winning document verification product, as I already mentioned, as well as with trusted data sources. So it might be a social security number or address verification or another database check, as well as fraud detection signals, as a comprehensive way to digitally verify a consumer's identity. Powering the platform is Atlas, our AI engine, which we'll talk about a bit more later in this presentation. So what makes Motion special? At a glance, Motion is designed to address the challenges we outlined in the beginning. Motion has a seamless user experience. You can verify a user in under 10 seconds with a simple head turn, as I just showed you, and it's powered by 100% automation. And Motion is secure. It's IBETA presentation attack defense level. It conforms to IBETA presentation attack defense levels 1 and 2, which I'll explain a little bit in a little bit. And it protects against emerging fraud factors, so it's highly accurate with anti-spoofing capabilities. And Motion is inclusive. It's a global solution underpinned by Atlas AI, built with diverse global data sets to mitigate against bias. So what makes the user experience seamless? As a company, we invested heavily in the user experience of Motion. We extensively reviewed the workflows and we iterated over 50 different prototypes. We tested on hundreds of people before we settled on the final design. With Motion, I believe that we have found the sweet spot between providing a user experience that is easy and seamless, but at the same time feels secure to the end user and provides all the signals that our machine learning models need to accurately verify the identity of the user. It's also designed with accessibility in mind. We work closely with the Disability Accessibility Centre to make sure that the Motion user experience can be used equally by everybody confidently. As already mentioned, Motion is IBETA PAD Level 1 and Level 2 conformant. As some of you know, IBETA is the industry standard when it comes to biometrics testing. They certify that a biometric components meet certain performance standards for presentation attack detection. So the Level 1 test validates the solution being tested is able to catch fraud vectors, such as photos or videos of printed photos or faces displayed on screens, or photos or videos of ID documents and 2D masks. The Level 2 tests instead focus on 3D types of fraud, such as latex masks, resin masks, silicone masks, mannequins, and tools. So Motion is designed to mitigate a variety of spoof techniques, including videos of ID documents or printed photos or videos of screens, as well as 2D and 3D masks. And the examples that you see on the screen are the types of fraud that we protect against in the Motion product. So when it comes to fraud, we constantly have our finger on the pulse. Fraudsters, unfortunately, are continuing to develop and deploy new tactics. What you see on this video is known as a cheap fake, which is a lower quality deep fake that is easier for fraudsters to generate, and therefore is what we expect to see most commonly in production compared to the sophisticated deep fakes that you might see on examples on YouTube. Such, we are continually innovating and working to make our models more robust against these types of attacks. Motion is an example of how we are working to proactively mitigate against bias in our solutions. As I mentioned before, it's underpinned by our AI engine, Atlas, which has been built from the ground up using diverse global data sets. At Onfido, our goal at Onfido is to build AI technology that is inclusive and fair as possible. Being a global company and serving customers in every corner of the world. It's really important to us that we ensure our products work equally well for everyone, regardless of gender, age, and race. So bias mitigation is core to our product mission. In September, we launched a new white paper, which has been written by our applied science research team, and I think that it might be being shared in the chat as we talk. So this white paper shares our experience of defining, measuring and mitigating biometric bias. And with that, we describe our experience of executing bias in motion, shining a light on the progress that we have made. And last week we actually hosted a webinar on this topic. So if you're interested, you can either download the paper or do it today. And actually you can go back and see a recording of that webinar in our content hub on onfido.com. So if that's something you're interested in, it's got some really great content. The gentleman who was a key author of that white paper actually presented the webinar, and I really encourage you to go and listen to that webinar. It was fantastic content. So Onfido has had a long commitment to ethical AI, and we're very transparent in our results. We can't make progress unless we share what we're doing. It's something that we do. So it's not just about innovation that is important to us, but innovating in the right way. And we know that we'll make progress step by step, and we want to share our results as we go along. So back in 2020, Onfido was selected to take part in a privacy sandbox offered by the UK Information Commissioner. And this work was instrumental in establishing the principles of how we measure bias, and it laid the work for how we build product ever since, including the work we've done to build Motion. One of our customers is a customer called Check. They're a successful scooter rental company in the Netherlands, and they are seeing amazing results with Motion already. They're one of our early testing customers. So Motion is helping them onboard more users, and they've seen a pass rate of 97%, which is fairly extraordinary, and they've also seen a 2% drop-off rate. And as you can see from the quote from a product manager, they were particularly impressed by the great user experience and the reduced cost of customer acquisition with fewer support tickets for their internal team and with very easy integration. So at Onfido, Motion is just one solution within a holistic offering that is designed to make identity simple for you and your customers. You'll get a complete identity verification solution in one place, constantly being enriched with new innovative solutions and signals. We enable you to serve a diverse global markets with 24-hour support, and we offer a user experience with minimal friction, as you've seen with Motion. Our in-house AI is constantly being worked on to provide fair and inclusive experience. But last but not least, you'll have the flexibility to design workflows according to your risk appetite. So thank you for coming today and your time and interest. If you want to learn more, please contact sales@onfido.com or directly visit onfido.com and use the contact form at our website. We'll just see if there's any questions in the chat. Oh, we do have some questions. Hold on. Just waiting to be typed in. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Question. Here we go. We do have a question. What other? Oh, here we go. The first question is, what are the differences / advantages between motion and gestures that you had last year? I think you might be referring to the existing liveness product that we already have today. I think that might be right. And so I think there are a couple of key differences between our existing liveness product and the new liveness product. When we decided to build this new product, we did so because it was all about two things. One is we wanted to really radically improve the user experience. So this is, if you saw from the example, in our existing product, the customer does have a head turn, a turn to the left or the right, and say some numbers. And in this product, the quiet is just a very simple and rather intuitive experience. So one was about that simple and intuitive user experience. And the second thing is about full automation. So the other product, unfortunately, today isn't fully And the third thing was about, I suppose the difference is with the existing product, the customer has to do a lot of the work, whereas this one, the models do the work. It's underpinned by the models on the work. Our existing product does do a great job of they both do a great job about protecting against fraud, but with this one, it's particularly about the more intuitive user experience and about full automation. Now we've had another question. So there's a question that's asking about so I think there's a question about we very often from companies like yours, you verify the person's live face in real time against his or photo. Sometimes if the firm is sophisticated like yours is to upload the person's data from the biometric chip and match with the photo. We do have a feature like that. So we have an NFC offering. So so we have a feature called NFC. So if the chip if there is a chip, we do have NFC. So if the document does have NFC enabled and the customer uses our SDK, then we can extract both the data to verify the document is genuine from the data and extract the image from the chip. So that is available, and we can do that today. The second thing to do about and then there's another question about what features about, I think a second question about do we have links to government databases? The short answer is we are doing some work at the moment around better links to digital identity databases. So if there is a digital identity available, so something like the ADAHA system, so can we check that that person's listed on that database? That is something we're working on at the moment. But we don't have links to government databases. They don't generally make them available. They don't say, so most companies don't link to a government database saying, is this database genuine? But our our document verification product is able to, there are two things we can do. One is either our machine learning models has high degrees of accuracy to say, is this document genuine? The other thing that we do have is a product called document repeat attempts, where we are able to ascertain whether that document has been used before. And we also have another product, which is called known faces, where we can say, have we seen this face before? So often what we see with fraudsters is they're looking for quick ways. So they want to find fraud. So either they find a face and they have a document and they use the face over and over again. And so what we find is they just find the one face and they replicate it over and over again. And with both this product called either with repeat attempts on a document, where we're able to find where they might just change the date of birth on a document or something like that, and they just repeat the document over and over through the document through this kind of like multiple fraud feature on the document, we can catch it. Or if they say use the same selfie over and over again, through a product called known faces, we can find that repeat fraudster. And both those features are available today. Right. Can one buy ID with any name or database in systems like yours? I think the third, so that's, I think, as I said, we've got products available, and if you get in contact with sales@onfido.com, they can talk to you in more detail. But we have systems that enable you to check whether the same document or the same face has been used over and over again, and those features can be bought as part of our core identity verification offering, and they're very good at catching repeat fraudsters, and they're part of our core offering. So the fourth question, I had another question. You mentioned that Motion is powered by automation. What does that mean? So for some IDV offerings, if the algorithm, so we use machine learning models to check, to say, can we pass this or not? Can we provide an answer? If they can't do that, sometimes we pass the check to an analyst to say, can you check this? But because we believe these algorithms are so advanced and very, very accurate, we are not using humans in the loop to provide an answer. So the result will be entirely passed by our machine learning models. Another question for you, does Onfido have the ability to detect whether an ID has been reported stolen? I think I understand that we have, I think we'll have to get back to you on that one. I tell you what, we'll take a note of that one. I know that we have some connection to some reported data lists, such as Amber Hill, but I don't know to the extent that it is global. What is the speed API response time for a full verification and re-verification of motion? Our response time is less than 10 seconds, end to end. Excuse me, as I'm just looking at the videos. Sorry, the questions. This is a... So I've got several questions here. So the first question is this question. So there's a question here about pricing. All pricing can be discussed with sales. They'll be able to discuss pricing with you. There's a question about, in the banking world, how many clients are adopting liveness checks? The short answer is many. So in many countries of the world, the regulation requires that you have an active liveness solution. So there's some new regulation around things like Etsy in Europe, and this kind of product is core to being compliant with that kind of regulation. So particularly, so what we find is, for today we have two, effectively we have what's called a passive. So we have a selfie product, and that we describe that as a passive liveness product. And passive means that the user is not involved in the experience, so they just take a selfie. Active is, I've turned my head to the left and the right, and I've done the user experience. We call that an active experience. And more what we find is, particularly for high risk regulatory environments, that banks are really invested in making and offer a slightly higher performance, particularly in anti-spoofing, that they require that kind of level of experience, that level of protection, and it's very common. There's a question about why do we think it's different? I think the differentiation we would say is, as I said, we invested heavily in the user experience. As I said, we tested with 50 different prototypes before, and we tested with over 100 users before settling on this. And actually, we think the performance of this is exceptional. And one of the reasons we think it is exceptional is, often with a product in biometrics, you make a trade-off between what's called the false acceptance rate and the false rejection rate. And for this, we didn't. We offer high degrees of performance where the false acceptance rate and the false rejection rate are both highly performant. And once again, we can get, if you want to speak to someone at sales on Onfido, they can get into the details with you about that. So the question says, what is changing for the company who's using your solution, not for the customers? I suspect that's a question about adoption. So if you're already one of our existing customers who might be using an existing product, so you're using selfie or you're using video and you wanted to use this product, it's an SDK. There is a small amount of work, so you'd have to be required on our latest SDK, and you'd need to do a small amount of work to take the results via the API, but it's mainly about that being on the latest SDK, so you can take the latest. You can take the latest product. The question was, there's another question around, do you store the faces image for the fraud detection service? I think you're talking about our known faces service. We do store so I'll answer that in two parts. For our existing product Motion that we've demonstrated today, there is no requirement to store any biometric. So that is not a requirement of this product today. If you're interested in any of our other fraud detection services, so for the product I talked about called Known Faces, that does require a storage of biometrics, but actually we can talk with you about what is required to be stored and for how long. It doesn't have to be stored for a very long period of time. Okay. So there's a question about managing photos with moustaches and scarves and Islamic. So there's a question about how do you manage for photos with moustaches in present and do not have in others, and also for scarves in Islamic countries. It's a good question. So I think to be honest with you, without answering those specific questions, there's a range of issues that might impact matching. But in truth, our face matching, particularly in our face matching models, they're trained with particularly large data sets. So on the document and on the face, and then our anti-spoofing models is a large number of faces. And so those large number of faces allowed us to train with high degrees of accuracy, but it can be that sometimes there are issues. So sometimes somebody might be wearing so for instance, a surgical mask, but actually sometimes we are allowed to be able to match, and it sometimes depends on, there are a whole range of factors that might impact matching. It could be the quality of the camera, it can be if there's blurring, it can be a whole range of things. So moustache or not moustache doesn't actually necessarily impact, because it's more to do with the shape and face of the shape of the face, and the same thing with the it depends on the scarf the Islamic country. So as long as we've got the shape of the face rather than some sort of full mask, it really depends. But we've been building biometric facial models for 10 years now, and we've got a depth of models that allow us to have high degrees of accuracy. I think that we've reached the end of the question. Does anybody else have any questions before we let you get on with your day? Okay. Well, I must say that was a wonderful set of questions. Thank you so much for being so engaging. So thank you for your time today. As I said, if you want, as is on the screen, if you want more information, please get in contact with sales at onfido.com. Head to our website, onfido.com, and contact us. I know we've shared the bias white paper in the chat today. It is available on the website. There's lots of information about motion on our website today, and we really thank you for attending. We really thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with us. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.